This part is focused on defensive positions and common best practices uh, regarding them. For this scenario, we would be defending this open area here, and the trees are surrounding it, and the enemy would be coming from around the mark from the city west. Some common best practices for defensive positions is to use the environment obviously around you for cover. Some usual things to note for cover would be bushes, ditches, trenches, trees, and other terrain shapes. It's often a good idea also for the medics to be stationed a bit further back and in places with easier access to the other members of the squad, so they can move and help if need be. Obviously, the main responsibility for setting up defensive positions is on the squad leaders, but as the normal infantryman, knowing the basics of it gives a good advantage and makes it possible for the squad to set up positions faster and more effectively. So let's go over some common features that can be seen and some points about them. First, bushes like this are quite common in PR, and they offer a lot of great cover visually, but obviously they don't block any bullets, so you can still be shot inside and behind them. For that reason, they usually aren't the best positions for kits like AR, MG, Grenadier, because they make a lot of noise when shooting at enemies and make it an easy target. Small bushes like this can also be useful in a pinch, because they offer some cover, but obviously due to their small size, they don't block you entirely. But if need be, anything is better than nothing. Another thing that's common, especially in forest maps like this, are trees. And trees are actually a very common and very useful thing, because they offer you protection even from bullets, as they block them. So standing behind them gives you a lot of great cover and an opportunity to be in a safe place. And to note next to it, even trunks like this or other low obstacles give you some cover from visual. If you actually move the marker and look at someone crawling behind the trunk, you can see how it gives some cover for the people behind it. It's not a lot, but it's still something and can help. And then the main thing to note is the terrain shapes. Here we can see how this hill very well gives us a good position where we can see down towards the enemy positions. And if need be, we could fall back here towards the southeast direction. Like, if you run back here, you can see that you have the entire view, and then if you move even the 5 meters back, you have broken the enemy's sight lines and you would be in cover from enemy direct fire. And even past here towards the southeast direction and east, there's plenty of hills and valleys that would give us cover if we needed to fall back. Next up, I can actually set you guys into some defensive positions here. Let's get 1 or 2 people into each position I give, and then you can actually see in practice how you would be able to see different areas and how you would be able to communicate with your squad mates. To start off with, let's get 1 or 2 people here in this bush. One or two people here in these trees.
use the terrain and objects that are on the map at your disposal, basically as cover, to be effective as a squad. In this scenario, the FOB is an enemy FOB, which we are attacking, and let's say there is some activity on it, so it might not be as easy to destroy it. We need to kill the enemies first, and we need to get to the FOB in the best way possible. So let's assume there's a bunch of people on it, and if we take a straight path to the FOB, we'll go over later, but here you get into the open field, and at this point, when we're here on top, depending on the situation, you might think you're in control. There's a lot of us, we're a full squad. If we all scatter around this open field, we might get shot by an AR that spotted us running out in the open here, and he might be on our left, he might be on our right, he might be uphill. You're in the open at this moment. It's way too late to react to it and not have losses. So basically, when you know that there's some kind of enemy, you know that there's an FOB because the commander told you or someone else was here before, that you need to get rid of, you kind of look for patterns in the terrain to get to the target as safely as possible before the enemies spot you. It's actually crucial when it comes to squad engagement. They can shoot you from so many directions that you're gonna die, and it's gonna be hard for the medic to revive you. So, like, this log is also awesome. It's just the tip of your head visible, and you can nicely... yeah, hold on. I will just wrap this up. So the last thing I wanted to mention that we need to somehow like feel the situation we're in. If we are in control of the situation, there's a lot of us. There's like not many enemies around. We can get in the high ground more, so we can have more information from around this, and basically shoot downhill to the enemies, which is also good. If we take that path in the valley, they might jump into us, and we might get some heavy losses if they find us there. But you don't need to like get too cocky. Just crossing the hills like this. If it's an open area where the enemies can see you from different angles, you might not even realize, and they might crawl up to you, like sneak up to you and get a kill. So you can peek in the hills to get more information, but try not to run across them and just stay low profile in the terrain.
Roger that, understood.
So yeah, it just leaves you in a more vulnerable position, so it's better in most cases to be used while further away from the enemy positions. What kind of path should we take? Are we far from enemy? Are we doing recon? Are we looking for FOBs? And we can spread out on the hilltops, look around. But if we know where the enemy is, we can get as close as possible and get the initiative when the firefight is starting. You know the enemy positions. You don't shoot on sight. You wait to see what they're doing. Of course, they might see you if you're seeing them, but you will probably notice that they see you. So most people just shoot on sight, but you should assess the situation a bit more and position the individual squad members in positions where we can mop them up really quickly and get the jump on them. So that's it. From here, we have another bush.
Move your asses!
Which is, in my opinion, very OP. Stay in the bush and shoot out of the bush. It's basically...
Alright.
If you're close enough, you can throw grenades. Spam nade from the bush. That works too.
Yeah. One fancy thing that needs to be mentioned is about the AR. When it moves around with the squad, when I'm at the AR, I usually just identify some landmarks that are cool places for the AR
After
to
we
set up.
finish
And
with
just
this
crouch
last
for a sec, or
rotation,
don't run for a
I'll
sec
go
with the
over the
deployed weapon,
suppressive fire bit
and I run up
for
to
the
it,
entire team
like,
real quick,
somewhere close to
and
the
then
front
we
of
can
the
move
squad.
off
I
in
sit there
the
for the next
practice.
like 2 seconds, overview, I don't see any enemies. I stand up. I run over to the next point, where I set up again and cover the squad again. So I don't just run around with the undeployed. I mean, I do run with undeployed. As soon as I sit down,
Yeah, it depends.
I deploy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, find good places where you
Yeah.
can cover the.
I always just
the
try
others
to
from.
look for high ground, like behind us on that 60, that hill.
Yeah, but
or something like that.
If the high ground can be visible from multiple angles, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna get. You're
Yeah.
gonna have so many angles where you should be looking for enemies, and they will spot you if you're on high ground. But you'll have too much area to cover, so don't get too cocky with that.
Yeah.
Always stay next to a tree or a bush. Yeah, it's just something to think about and figure out with time. Okay, we're done here, so I'll take the last group.
You chill and cover. Grenadier, of course, is pumping high explosive into that house at this point. And then, as good friends, holding hands, we all cross. Good. And the rest is basically basic. You shoot at the windows, grenades into the windows. You throw frags through the windows if you actually know how to throw frags into the windows. You clear the house. And another thing that is not supposed to be in this training, but wow. Yeah, this is
Nice. Exactly what I'm supposed to be there.
smoke is pretty basic stuff. It's easy to learn, it's easy to master, but goddamn can it win rounds. Honestly, one well done rush, let's say if this was the last flag, we would just be winning the round right now. And that's just because we had smoke and we were able to move up, take the house, and we are able to provide 360 cover for the rest of the team just to position themselves around us. So yeah, it's quite easy, honestly, to use, but remember, don't throw it at your feet, don't throw it in your friendly's eyes, and especially if you're defending a house like this, and you decide that you're taking too much cover, for God's sakes, don't throw a smoke grenade inside the house. You're blinding the entire defensive fire, and then you're just basically fucked. I've seen it happen too many times, honestly, so, I mean, I'll mention the obvious.
Not so many, a lot of times.
Way too many. Also, since I guess you'll hear about this in the defensive thing, but if you're covering a house like this, and let's say squad leader says 360, it's a very nice thing to do, is let's say I go up to this window, and I just say I'm covering north to west. And if you just basically go to your positions, and you give him the directions that you're looking at, the squad leader actually knows what's covered and what's not covered. And if you are taking contact from other direction than yours, do not run up to that window to get a free kill or something. Keep looking at yours, because backdoors exist, enemies can walk in and do the same thing that we did to this house, right?
And yeah, especially in this house, because this house is like paper. Everything
No.
goes by.
I would never fucking defend this house
Yeah,
ever in
it's
my life,
horrible.
honestly. One
Not
guy.
like that.
It's easy to just
One eight is still not dead. But just one eight
It's
is
like two frag grenades on the rooftop on the bottom with dead, all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Decimated into pieces.
But yeah, as far as smoke goes, that would be about it. We still have actually 5 minutes to kill, so
Okay.
we can run a...
That was my bad.
You throw an aid in front of this. Not yet, don't go yet. Push, push, push.
out
Let's
of
go infield.
out
ER.
cross, out cross.
Ready?
Use smoke, guys, use smoke.
I stop. I deploy smoke. Ready, ready, ready.
Good luck surviving that.
There you go.
Is dead. Haha.
Point about suppressive and covering fire. The main point for suppressive and covering fire is to keep the enemies' heads down and make them not able to shoot you. Suppressive fire is used in defensive positions, and usually the best kits for that are kits like MG, AR, Grenadier, because they can put a lot of firepower towards the enemy quite fast and quite accurately. The main point for suppressing fire would be that it's accurate, it's towards the enemy, so that they have to relocate or otherwise compromise their own positions, so you have the advantage. And if you're attacking using covering fire to support your friendlies, can be useful for the enemy defense desk to have to keep their heads down. Covering fire is usually best given by anyone that's in the best position for it. Kit doesn't that much matter. For example, if you're crossing the road and you're first one at the corner before you cross the road, it's best for you to give the covering fire. Just give a shout to your squad, I'm covering, please cross, and they will cross. And when they are past the road, they can themselves cover you while you cross the road. Basically the point is, if you're putting bullets towards the enemy, they won't be able to geek out unless they risk themselves with a shot, which gives you advantage.